In this next section, we're going to talk about routine and why routine is important and the different things that we can do. I know some people don't really like the word routine, it feels too structured and hasn't got any flexibility. I think there are loads of words that you can use that really all mean the same: rhythm, structure, routine. And I just really believe that routine is really key, in that there has to be flexibility. And I think in this time of uncertainty, it's so important that we have routine built in. At the moment, we are in this very, very strange period. And I just want you to really think about the last time you went on holiday, and a 10-day holiday or a 2-week holiday. And when you get on that holiday, you are raring to get out of your mundane routine. You just want to, have a more flexible routine. But most of you probably have a routine when you're on holiday. But by the end of the 2 weeks or the 10 days, we're sort of ready to get home and we're ready to get back into that little bit more structured routine. Routine provides stability and predictability. And this really, really helps our children and us feel safe and secure. I think we can all agree that at the moment, when things are so uncertain, if we can provide some sort of routine, predictability, stability and security for our children, it has to be one of our number one priorities. So how do you structure your days? This really depends on you, on your children. What age are they? How many kids are there? What is the makeup of your family and how does your family do life? The one thing that I would suggest is that if you really do feel like the routine needs changing, just observe it for a day or two and just take notes on the bits that really, really work and the bits that really, really don't work. And that'll give you a really good idea of what you want to change. I think it's also really, really good if you look at your ideal routine, which you might have in your brain, doesn't always pan out. My big tip for you is to not structure your days like a school day. They're not in school. They have this great opportunity of the fact that they're home and the flexibility that brings. So just go with the flow, have a vague structure that works for you, and it is dependent on you and your family. But make sure that it is not structured like a school day. When thinking about the routine of your day, have a think about all the jobs and chores that you have to do anyway, and have a think about your children and what they would like to get involved with. Think about what you could give them as a sole responsibility or that they could do with you. For example, in our home, my daughter is only 32 months, so 2.5, nearly 3. And one of the things that we get her to do is when I've loaded the dishwasher, she likes to put the tablet in. It just makes her feel involved and it helps for her to see you doing that task and not getting fractious about it, because she knows that she's got a job coming up. She's really scared of the Hoover, so when I'm hoovering, she gets her little mini hoover out and we hoover together. This morning my husband needed to make bread, so he asked if she wanted to get involved and she got involved. So it's just trying to think about things in terms of what can they get involved with, what can you give them, and it depends obviously on their age and it depends on their ability and it depends on whether they're willing to. If it's not worth the fight, I would just leave it right now, but if it's going to empower them and give them something to do within their day and give them a sense of belonging in the family, I think it's really, really important that we as parents aren't doing everything for our children. One thing I would add is just make sure that you don't ask your children to do too much. They'll get bored, they'll get irritated and they won't do anything. So just make sure that you're assessing at what time of the day you're asking them to do it and the nature of the job and chore that you're asking of them. I just want to take a moment to talk about the importance of play. Our children are at home with us, and I think some of us feel the weight of the homeschool element of it and the fact that we have to educate our children in this time, even though we've had a little time to prepare for that. What I want to say to you is play is so, so important. It is great for every developmental area, and it's great for us as parents if we can get lost in a world of dragons and princesses and pirates and whatever it is. It's good for our own well-being as well. So I really want to encourage you, this is a great time to just play with your children. This morning I spent a lot of time playing puppet show. My daughter she's never really bothered with the puppets before, but today she just wanted to play with those puppets. So just go out there and play. I want to talk about bedtime routine. I know it can seem really tempting at the moment to just throw the bedtime routine out because everything seems so out of whack. I would really encourage you to keep bedtime routine and the bedtime the same. Sleep is so important for our children. It's so important for everybody. So it's really important that we really prioritise that in our days. What you don't want is you don't want to have an increase in challenging behaviour which could have simply been reduced by having the same bedtime routine. The bedtime routine helps our children to feel safe and secure, and they really need that, particularly at this moment of uncertainty. By ensuring that your kids get enough sleep, you are also reducing the likelihood of tantrums and meltdowns. Now we're going to talk about screen time. There's loads of research that tells us about the negative impact that too much screen time has on our kids and also on us as adults. However, we are in these very strange circumstances where we are confined to our houses and gardens if we are blessed with gardens, and so we really need to be flexible on our view of screen time. There are 3 keys that I want you to bear in mind. Number 1, balance. It's really important that our children aren't watching too much telly, because if they watch too much telly, it really will have a negative impact on their behaviour. Number 2, is it appropriate? We really need to be mindful of what our children are watching. Is it scary? Does it have educational value? What are the core values within what they're watching or what they're playing? Do they enjoy it? Don't put your kids in front of something that they just don't want to watch. And number 3, what time are they having their screen time? For me, I prefer to try and put the screen time at the end of the day because it means that she's more likely to be worn out and it's just like a nice chill out time for her. Doesn't always work that way, but that's what I find works best. So if you have really stringent rules on screen time, I would encourage you to really loosen them at this time. And if you think that maybe you don't have many rules on screen time, I would really encourage you to just think about how much time and just give them allotted times within the day in which they can watch the telly or play games or play on the iPad. Thanks so much for watching. In this video, we talked about the importance of routine, and this is part 3 of a 6-part series, Coronavirus Lockdown, Secrets to Staying Sane. Hey, before you go, if you liked what we talked about today, then feel free to hit a like over here, the subscribe button's right over there, and if you want to be updated on new content that we'll be releasing, there's a notification button just down there, and that means that every time we release new content, you will get notified about it.